All right, let's get into it. This was essentially a video, but I had to split it into two because it was too long, and just thought it was better for it to be two parts. So this is continuing the second part of the most undervalued players in fantasy football. Now let's move on to the wide receivers. The first wide receiver I have, and he's not slept on like the running backs like I mentioned, but this is a guy who I still feel like is severely undervalued in fantasy football drafts, and that's DJ Moore. He was the wide receiver 18 last year with essentially no quarterback play. Cam Newton looked awful in the 2 weeks that he started. Kyle Allen is a backup quality quarterback at the very best. You know, Joe Brady comes in, he runs a pass-happy offense in a division where they play the Saints, the Bucks, and the Falcons twice a year. There's going to be a lot of shootouts. The Carolina Panthers have a terrible defense, and Teddy Bridgewater is a serviceable quarterback. You know, he's miles ahead of better than Kyle Allen will ever be. And one thing that many fantasy owners are concerned about with the DJ Moore outlook is that Teddy Bridgewater can't log on to a wide receiver. But last year he did that. With the Saints, when he took over, Michael Thomas last year averaged 18.8 points with Drew Brees, and he didn't skip a beat with Teddy Bridgewater. He averaged 18 points. He went down 0.8 points. DJ Moore got 4 touchdowns last season. Positive regression is gonna come. They're gonna have to pass the ball a lot, especially in a division, like I said, where they play the Saints, the Bucks, and the Falcons twice a year, all who have great offenses. He was the wide receiver 13 before the injury because in week 13, he did get hurt. He got hurt really early on in the game. So if he can finish as the wide receiver 13 with Kyle Allen through most of the season, and with the Cam Newton who looked terrible in the early portion of the season, I think the sky is the limit for DJ Moore. I think a lot of people are overreacting with the Robbie Anderson signing, with Curtis Samuel still being there. Obviously they're going to command targets, but they are no DJ Moore. Those guys are no DJ Moore. I love DJ Moore. He's only going to get better. This is his third year in the league. This is his breakout year where he establishes himself as one of the best wide receivers in the league. Take that to the bank. He's going as a wide receiver 13 right now, and I don't see anywhere where he doesn't finish as a wide receiver 1 this year, especially with the circumstances he had to go through last season. He still managed to produce. That's talent right there. That was only in his second year in the league. Another year under his belt in a Joe Brady offense with a better quarterback. Give me DJ Moore all day. I'm getting higher and higher on DJ Moore as we get into the season. I own a couple shares of him, so go out there and get yourself DJ Moore. The second wide receiver we're going to talk about is DJ Chark. Now, DJ Chark, real quick, before his ankle injury that he sustained in week 13, week 14, somewhere around there, through weeks 1 through 13, DJ Chark was the 7th best wide receiver in fantasy football. Now we take a look at this year, the 2020 season. The Jaguars are going to pass the ball a lot. They're projected to be the worst team in the league. He already has a rapport with Gardner Minshew, and if Gardner Minshew has any chance of keeping that quarterback position with the team, he's going to have to target DJ Chark. He's clearly the alpha wide receiver on this team. He's talented. He's even been compared to as the next AJ Green, and I'm all for it. Laviska Shenault comes in. That's only going to help DJ Chark, as Laviska Shenault is the complete opposite wide receiver that DJ Chark is. So it's a perfect match for both of them. And I just think a guy who finished as the wide receiver 1 when healthy last year. But where is he going in drafts? You might say, oh, he might be going as a low-end wide receiver 1. No, he's going as a mid-wide receiver 2. He's being drafted as the wide receiver 20 in fantasy football drafts. And that's highway robbery if you can get away with that. Drafting a guy like DJ Chark, I see no way where he doesn't finish as a top 12 wide receiver this year. I think the touchdowns could come down a little bit, but the amount of times that this team is going to have to pass the ball, but they are projected to be one of the worst teams in the league. He's one of the only talented players they have on the offensive side. Jay Gruden comes in. It's going to be a better offense than it was last year, if that's even saying much. But I love DJ Chark this year. I think he's going to be a wide receiver 1 and a guy that you can get as your wide receiver 20. He's a perfect wide receiver 2 you can get in the middle rounds. Still being undervalued to this day. Go get yourself some DJ Chark. The last wide receiver that I'm going to talk about is Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup suffered a knee injury week 2. He missed 2 games after that. And through weeks 5 through 17, Michael Gallup was the wide receiver 13 in fantasy football. Even with the injury, he hit the 1,000 yard mark. Mike McCarthy comes in. He's a pass-happy guy. We know Dak Prescott is going to throw the ball, and even with CeeDee Lamb coming in, I see him as a wide receiver 2. A safe wide receiver 2 is going to get a lot of volume because we know that Dak Prescott is going to throw the ball a lot. So you might be saying, okay, cool. Michael Gallup finishes the wide receiver 13 when he was healthy last year. And CeeDee Lamb comes in, so he's maybe being projected as a mid wide receiver 2 because we have to account for CeeDee Lamb coming in and taking away some targets. Nope, he's being drafted as a wide receiver 33 off boards. How does that even make sense? Yes, I know CeeDee Lamb is a great prospect who's going to come in and command targets, but Michael Gallup is a damn good wide receiver on a damn good offense. I love Michael Gallup's talent. Mike McCarthy has already said that he's the number 1 wide receiver on the Cowboys. Yes, he said that. Amari Cooper's going to play the slot. Michael Gallup's going to be on the outside. CeeDee Lamb's going to be all over the place. CeeDee Lamb's going to have to take some time to learn the wide receiver position in the NFL. And I'm not saying he's not going to be great, but I'm saying it's going to take time for him to fully reach his ceiling in his rookie year. I love Michael Gallup, and as the wide receiver 33, he's going to be a top 20 wide receiver this year. Take it to the bank. He's a perfect guy you can get as your flex late in drafts. I absolutely love Michael Gallup. Nothing but upside and a pretty safe floor on this offense for a guy you can get super late. He's still being undervalued, and it's criminal. He's being criminally undervalued. Wide receiver 33, like, are you kidding me? A tight end that I'm going to talk about is Chris Herndon. A lot of people loved Chris Herndon last year as a potential sleeper, but sadly, he got suspended. He got injured, and he only played 18 snaps in the 2019 season. And he's gotten a lot of hype since March. He's gotten a lot of hype. The Jets have said that they love him. They can't wait to unleash him. They can't wait to put him back in their lineup. And Gase has hyped him up a little bit. He said he's their starting tight end. Looking at this Jets roster, who do they have? They lost Robbie Anderson in free agency, but they got back Rashad Perriman, who's nothing too special. He's a decent wide receiver. Jamison Crowder is going to command that slot position. Denzel Mims is still injured, suffering a hamstring injury. And I'm just trying to find who's going to be that guy that the Jets are going to use as their primary target, because I don't see anybody on this roster who's going to command that type of role. Here comes Chris Herndon. If anybody has a chance to be last year's Darren Waller, last year Darren Waller broke out because that team didn't have any single offensive weapon whatsoever, and they just targeted him a lot because he was a great big body tight end that they love to have. I think that could happen with Chris Herndon in his 3rd year in the league. They have nobody, so they're going to have to use somebody. Chris Herndon is a guy whose talent I've always loved, and a guy who can be a security blanket for Sam Darnold. Again, if there's anybody who's going to be a tight end that comes in out of nowhere, he's currently not even being drafted in the league. So if you punt the tight end position, go ahead, take a shot on Chris Herndon, because I think if there's anybody who's going to be a Darren Waller type of player this year, who's a tight end that's not being drafted, maybe he's being drafted super, super late and comes in out of nowhere and produces right away because the team has no other option but to target him, I think it's Chris Herndon coming in from the Jets. If you draft him super late, you don't have anything to lose. If you bust, cool, you move on. But this is a guy who has a lot of upside at the tight end position. I've always loved him from a talent perspective, and I think this is finally the year where he's going to get his opportunity, because his rookie year, he showed a lot of promise. His 2nd year in the league, he got suspended, he got injured, a lot of bullshit. Then his 3rd year, this year, he's primed to have an opportunity to even be the number 1 pass catcher on this team. Is very valuable. So I absolutely love Chris Herndon this year as a potential sleeper, and he's still being undervalued in drafts because he's not even being drafted.